something on your shoe.
As we close down the era of the PS3, there's one more huge exclusive in store, and that is The Last of Us. This game comes to us from Naughty Dog, who are best known this generation for the Uncharted games, and as you probably know, Uncharted 2, in my mind, is one of the high watermarks of this game generation. Now, this couldn't be more different from what Uncharted is all about. That is an Indiana Jones-style adventure game. This is a very dark, human tale about survival in America well after an apocalypse. You may not get the same level of smiles, but man, there's a lot to take from it.
Jury's still out. But man, can't deny that view.
The serene images of buildings being reclaimed by the natural world that abound in The Last of Us are one of numerous aspects of this exquisite game that mask its very troubled and dark heart. All this greenery overtaking man-made monuments underscore the uncompromising quality of survival and the fallacy of anthropocentrism that place mankind's existence at the center of natural order.
Hands on your fucking head. Do it.
This powerful and harrowing game reframes the seemingly noble notion of survival and portrays it pushed to its pathological limits. Like the foliage asserting itself over brick and steel, the mindless drive to exist becomes its own form of zombification, replete with desperation, denial, and terrifying justification.
No!
The Last of Us focuses on Joel and Ellie, two survivors of a fungal outbreak that leave its infected in homicidal states and physical evolution unpleasant enough that only a video game could render it. Joel, older and plagued by losses from the world as he once knew it, is reluctantly conveying his newly acquired ward westward, and she only knows the world in a state of collapse and rebirth. His charge is to take her safely from the military-run quarantine zones into the hands of the Fireflies, a ragtag rebel group fighting the feeble authority of the establishment and offering the uncertain hope of a better future in dire times.
I think that's it. Ellie, you okay?
Other than shitting my pants, I'm fine.
Much of this material sounds familiar, but in the hands of Naughty Dog, with Neil Druckmann's exceptional script and superlative motion captured and voice performances from Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, the narrative advantage of games is fully realized in a manner with no equal in the medium.
Repeat it.
What you say goes.
Without having to lean on the essential shorthand for a story of this scope in a 2-hour film, this 17-plus hour game lingers on subtleties and deals in remarkable restraint. These characters are so accustomed to loss that you see their faces fighting back actual feelings, and breaks in their facade come from moments as gentle as looking at a watch.
Hey, let's pick it up.
This isn't a game with choices or narrative paths based on playstyle. This is old-fashioned storytelling spun by a team at the top of their craft. The value of this structure is on display for every moment of The Last of Us, as it plays out with such masterful pacing that each new character, new scene, and revelation keep you invested and riveted in this game.
Ellie.
Playing the uncomfortably ambivalent character of Joel, whose monomaniacal need to fight onward fixates on Ellie, transforming him to a Don Quixote at the end of the world. Bringing this game to a head-spinning conclusion that has lingered with me long after I finished playing.
Oh man, jeez. That thing scared the shit out of me.
Even with a story as strong as the one in The Last of Us, it's how the gameplay perfectly integrates in design and tone that sets the game apart and overcomes the frequent issues with dissonance in major releases. Desperation is key here. Bullets are few, as are the melee weapons, although calling it a stealth game is too limiting. Joel has no preternatural skill to kill from the shadows. Staying hidden is a matter of necessity and rarely works for long. The incredibly thoughtful level design offers many paths to traverse, and just enough bottles, bricks, and bats littering the ground turn these encounters, both human and infected, into taut cat and mouse games, punctuated by brutal bursts of violence. They can turn on a dime, and they will frequently. Once noticed by enemies, the gameplay becomes frantic, depleting precious resources until the player can regain the upper hand and escape. Crafting opportunities abound. Make a Molotov cocktail, strap a blade to a tire iron. But like healing, it happens in real time, and the decision to not stay in motion is at the player's peril. Ellie and other friendly AI can help out and can die if you don't attend to them after a while, which adds to the drama. But in order to save the game from the burden of an escort mission, the enemy AI can sometimes ignore them completely, momentarily breaking the illusion in the moment. This tension is abetted by the clever enemy design between the human and infected adversaries. Their less predictable behavior keeps the encounters fresh and anxiety-ridden throughout. The human AI vacillates between defensive caution and homicidal rage as they get the upper hand and know to stay hidden and use a gun. The infected are more singular-minded. Runners live up to their name. Once they see you, they go pell-mell, but are brought down easily. Clickers, more advanced mutations, have lost sight and, like bats, use the Doppler effect of a horrible clicking sound to sense movement. And when they do, time is short. It's a one-hit kill if they find you, and more specialized means, like stealth kills with a shiv or mini bullets, are necessary to take them down. The grouping of these infected and the different strategies needed to dispose of them are where the encounters draw their strategy and anxiety. But over time, as Joel's armaments expand, they become more predictable and familiar, but not necessarily easy. It's impossible not to note the unpleasant depiction of violence in The Last of Us, something that, understandably, may turn off particular players. But this is something Naughty Dog brilliantly concedes in this moment when Ellie happens upon an old arcade cabinet.
Apparently, there's this character called Angel Knives who'd... what was it? She'd punch a hole through your stomach before kicking your head off.
I was never a big fan of these things.
The violence is intimate and unsettling, amplified by the astonishing sound design throughout the game. It's also completely consistent with the tone established throughout. Joel, his simmering rage at circumstance, excused by the veneer of survival, defined his violent nature and snatched the player up in the moment, willing or not. The effect of the violence on the player, or at least myself, is something I haven't experienced in a game before. The dire, noxious tension that at times evokes Dark Souls is only relieved by dispatching these living obstacles to the goal of making it through one more moment. There's something momentarily relieving and viscerally satisfying that then gives way to the nauseating implications of the act. Naughty Dog's awareness of the violence and its unflinching intrusion on the player's psyche is a necessary recalibration of the role of violence in games and will undoubtedly be part of the ongoing debate in the media.
Fuck.
And what may come as a shock to many, The Last of Us comes with multiplayer, two variations on the same mode, but it manages to work within the fiction without belittling or undermining the foundation set by the extraordinary single player. You play as one of two human factions, the Rebel Fireflies or the Bandit Hunters, and in a mixture of team deathmatch and last man standing, your team attempts to get 20 kills in a match in supply drop and eliminate enemies with no respawn in Survivor. What's remarkable is how many elements of the single-player game carry over. Real-time healing, crafting, and the level design allowed the player to take advantage of the skills developed in the campaign. Also, the game straddles the uncomfortable divide between the grim nature of the game's world and the glibness inherent in multiplayer. It is as gruesome as the single-player violence, but the tone of desperation is maintained and keeps the experience in context.
What was this place like without infected? I can't even imagine it.
The Last of Us is truly unlike any gaming experience. In story, art direction, and game design, the familiar is turned on its ear to an amazingly emotional and unnerving effect that, despite the apocalypse and zombies, is personal and relevant to an era dwarfed by uncertainties and searching for a simpler context. For Joel, it's the purity of survival with only the consequence of success as its focus.
Trust me, It ain't easy.
I've been reading a collection of academic essays about the role of zombies in popular culture called Better Off Dead. And one thing that strikes me is how George Romero, in making Night of the Living Dead, saw his movie as depicting zombies as a necessary social evolution, breaking down the strictures of post-war America, all against the chaos of the late 1960s. The Last of Us depicts an evolution of mankind, fighting off existential failure by shutting down, clinging to the stories they tell themselves, and terrified of the hope that comes with it. You almost have to wonder if the infected have the right idea. A 5 out of 5. There you have it. The Last of Us. Yes, the PS3 is definitely going out with a bang. This is one of the finest games I have ever played. I can't say I can recommend this to everyone because of its dark, violent nature, but if it sounds like something you can handle, by all means, give it a shot. I know you will find something in it. We are going to be talking about this game, as probably many people are. We already have a video up. It is Max Scoville's study hall that deals with The Last of Us, but look out for spoiled games and much more content about this remarkable game in the near future. Now, since this is one of the swan songs for the PlayStation 3, make sure that you watch our E3 coverage as you see what the next generation for Sony will be, with more information on the PlayStation 4 and of course the Xbox One, on the Wii U. All these other things are going to be happening. More or less, we're going to be going crazy at E3. You're going to benefit from it, so make sure to check it out.